hot off the press, we have found Liberty Coach 903. Frank, always an honor to see you, sir.
Yes, sir.
The team at Liberty Coach has definitely been busy. A lot of new stuff. This is the third 9660 Prevost shell that you've converted. What's the latest and greatest here?
Well, this thing looks pretty bad to the bone, doesn't it?
Yeah, bad to the bone is an understatement. Yes, sir.
I think the only thing I'm missing is Dean's Pass red shoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
This coach is the third 9660. This is going to be a triple slide. The super slides in the rear. It has the extended galley layout to it. It's an exciting look to the exterior of the coach. We just got the black wheels put on it. This coach just got to us here just a few days ago, so we're getting it ready for delivery, and in the meantime we're going to do this video and show you what it's all about.
Really looking forward to some stuff we haven't seen on the other 9660s, a few different variations. I remember several years ago, black and red were kind of the main Liberty Coach colors, and then it kind of went more into the blues, but really good to see that classy black and red.
Yep.
Now, do you know if there was an inspiration for this paint scheme? Or?
You know, I really don't. I wasn't involved in the design of the exterior part of it. Maybe we ran out of blue paint finally. I'm not really sure about that. There's some more blue coming. But anyways, this client is in racing, so there may have been some tie-in with that also.
This interior has some really cool stuff, totally different style than we've seen before. Can we take a look inside before we show everybody around?
No problem.
Sounds good. So the team at Liberty just continues to push the industry with this interior, but the cockpit up here, I'm noticing we're not seeing the E-mirrors like we saw in 901 and 902. What's different about this coach?
So this coach was built without the E-mirror option to it, so it has the new 9660 exterior remote control mirrors. So on the exterior shots, I'm sure you'll see those. They're a little bit more streamlined. They tuck into the body a little bit further, so there's a noticeable difference there compared to the past Classic as far as even wind noise there also. So it's a lot quieter than what we saw in the past. Even though we had a real quiet coach, this is a little bit more so. So yeah, the front end, the cockpit area opens up somewhat without having the E-mirrors on there. You'll notice that the leather, the stitching on it is done in red, so that's pretty cool on how we were able to integrate that, matching the steering wheel. There's a significant amount of work that's done here. I think now on this one there's 19 different molds for this that Kirk put together and designed to fit into the system. We have some additional switches. We've got a carbon fiber panels as far as the dash panels, because we now have 3 different options for the dash panels, this being one of them. On the left hand side here we've got the charge base for your phone, either an iPhone or Android phone, which then will AirPlay or CarPlay into the Pioneer dash radio. So you have the ability for your hands-free communication on your telephone, as well as navigation, all of the things that you're used to doing in your car for AirPlay that everybody has gotten so used to doing, streaming, what have you, can all be done here. One thing that's really cool on the 9660, which I think we've missed before, the coach has a similar starting sequence to your new cars. So you have a key fob that has to be present in the coach. There is a switch on the panel, a rocker switch to turn the ignition on, and then you have a push to start button now compared to what we had before. The air vents, we've pointed those out before, we'll point them again. We now have air vents that are up higher to blow at your face of the driver instead of just having the ones that were down below, which we still currently have. We also then have one over here on the passenger dash also to be able to cool the passenger down, as well as still coming up on the windshields, and then the auxiliary system that's behind the driver and passenger seat. We also have an air vent that's secluded here. You can't really see it, but it's behind that handrail coming in on the passenger dash. So that also blows at the passenger area as well. Over here we've got the a dash TV screen here. We're doing a lot more streaming as opposed to the satellite dish, DirecTV or Dish Network. We've eliminated on the 9660 the in-motion satellite dish. We're doing more of the Starlink installations and then the HD satellite. But we're seeing more and more people are streaming. I think we'll probably be able to see the satellite TV systems kind of go away. And I know a lot of people will be happy with that because of the problems associated with it. We have full iPad control here. We still have our 12-inch iPad Pro. There's a significant amount of control that you can do on the steering wheel, different menus that are on the dash cluster now. Windshield wipers, we went back on that. The windshield wipers now are 2 synchronous motors instead of having a tie rod in between with one motor. So the wipers are much better, much quieter. We also have multiple speeds of intermittent, which we only previously had 1 intermittent speed, or delay. We now have 4 different delay settings that we can do. It's graduated significantly from what we had previously.
As I say, and we mentioned in the previous video that with the new aerodynamic front end, it kind of sheds snow or sheds water, bugs, dirt off more so than the previous models as well.
Absolutely. We see a lot of that now when we're going down the road on the highway. You know, the water is shutting off much nicer, cleaner. This is the same thing as far as debris or the snow, the ice. We haven't gotten into that yet at this point in time, but that's what we're being told. I know from the other 2 clients that have a 901 and 902, they are definitely seeing a significant increase in fuel economy. They've been able to go further distances on their normal travels that they've had from Stewart here back up into the Northeast. They've been able to pass by the truck stops that they used to stop at. They've been able to go further. So as we get more of these out on the road, we'll be able to get more of an average of what the fuel economy is, but it definitely looks like it's increased, so that's pretty impressive. We have more of a radiused entryway as you come up. This is part of the 9660 as well, so the stairs are a little bit deeper and they're more comfortable, if you will, coming up and down. We also have our 360 camera system that's on the coach as well, the bird's eye view camera system, and we also have the blind spot detection system, which you can see the indicator there on the driver's side windshield post and over here at the passenger windshield post. On the other 2 coaches, the passenger one was on the center post here because we have the monitors for the e-mirrors there, so we're keeping the indicator where the mirror is or where that view is on that passenger side.
I know you read the comments, probably one of the most available people, most connected to the industry, and you were mentioning that in previous comments, folks mentioned that we did not put the TV down to show the new walkway. Do you think we could put this down to demonstrate that?
Now with the way that the system is done, we were able to get more of an angle of swing to the system. It's very comfortable as far as being able to have the TV at a higher level because it doesn't have the step up in the ceiling that we used to before, which would bring this TV down approximately another 4 inches from where it is today. That's increased quite a bit and it's been a big advantage.
And is all of this built by Liberty Coach in-house?
The mounting system for it is built by Liberty Coach. The mechanism itself we have done by an outside party. But as you can hear, it's very quiet going up and down. It's very rigid when it is down, and then when it's up, it has a locking mechanism to hold it in place as well. But it's a very clean installation.
Yeah, perfectly flush. I mean, if you didn't know there was a TV there, it'd be really hard to tell.
So one of the things that we also point out when you would have seen when it was down is it's completely finished up in there. Some of the other companies that are out there, they just put a piece of vinyl up there to cover up the ceiling of the coach as opposed to finishing the entire box. More of the work that Liberty Coach does to finish everything off. Here we've got the windows here on the upper section are closed off now, and then Kurt did a new cabinet up in this area here, so we've got storage up in here, ball caps, keys, whatever you want to put
yes,
up in
sir.
here, and we have them on both sides of the coach as far as that goes. So there's some additional storage that was brought into play here with the new cockpit arrangement in the 9660. The entry door in the traditional classic H345, there was 2 latches for the door. There was one about mid-height up and there was another one that was almost at the top. Those sometimes were a little bit problematic to get those adjusted properly so they would engage together and disengage together, and also to keep the wind noise down. So this door now is similar to how the X3 has been done, where you have a single latch position in the center of the door frame, and then at the top there's a pin that'll drop down to suck the top of the door in once the coach is in drive and the parking brake has been released. Then that pin will engage. That is also disengaged even if you have that criteria there. Once you pull on the door handle, that pin will raise so the door can be used in an emergency if need be so.
And that's all an improvement that's done by Prevost, not Liberty, and Prevost has so much experience. Do you know how many coaches a year Prevost builds throughout, the Greyhound buses, the passenger buses, seated buses?
I know at one point years ago they were touching close to 1,000. Now in this time frame here, I'm gonna venture off in the probably the 400 range, and that's a moving target. It's hard to really know what that number is. In what we do in the motorhome business, between all of us converters together, plus the entertainer shells that are out there, you know, there's probably a couple hundred at least easy, well, pushing 300 probably easy on that part per year. I'm not really sure what the tour industry, seated industry does.
Yeah, but Prevo's able to kind of piggyback on that research and development. And even though, is Liberty building, what, 12 to 14 coaches a year now? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So even though you're only doing that small number of these elite coaches, you're still getting that research and development from Prevo with all those
safety
buses.
aspects of it, you know, all of that then becomes a bonus to us because the shell chassis is built the same across the board for them as well as us.
And one improvement I noticed that Liberty Coach did, I've got to point out real quick, when I was standing up there, the size of the letters and how clear and concise these switches are, it gets harder for us to see stuff as we all get a little older. So really nice having those crystal clear switches. And then also the new stitching. This is something I think I've seen on the Lamborghinis. Has Liberty Coach done any of the stitching on this style yet?
We're doing a little bit different almost on every coach. Since we did the last video, I've been back up north for sit downs for 2 different other coaches for spec outs. And both of those have completely different stitching and quilting and what have you for the driver and passenger seat. It's pretty exciting.
Just a totally different design, different finishes than we've seen. What's going on in this coach?
Well, we've gotten some different species of wood here, which is the striped, if you would, veneer, pretty exotic looking. This has also got the lit quartz panels. I know the camera has a tough time with that a little bit. So these are quartz backlighted panels on the feature wall here of the dinette area and also the backsplash here of the galley, as opposed to the agate panel. This is kind of a more defined look to it, if you will.
Texture to it. And you can see, like you said, the cameras are hard to see, but the human eye from 15, 20 feet away, you can see so much detail. Really cool. Yep. I can imagine that's a pretty expensive option.
Yeah, there's a few dollars in that, no question. The front area of the coach here, we've got the extended galley. Countertop's got the waterfall edge that we've been doing here as of recent. We've got an L-shaped booth. So the last L-shaped booth we did was probably almost a year ago. So that's pretty cool. I'm getting back into doing that as well. This sofa is a convertible, goes out to an air mattress, so you have almost a king size bed there, queen size bed I should say actually. Very nice to be able to have for additional sleeping. This is an electric chair. This is our new standard chair that we're putting in for the living room area. It has an outlet specifically for the recline, the footrest.
Can you demonstrate? Because it looks like just a normal chair that you'd see in a home. Yeah, and that's all done by power there. Yep. Looks like a very comfortable chair.
Very comfortable. You can move it around so that you can get out further, so it'll lay back further as well. So in this cabinet, in how Kurt designed this, we've got storage back in here. So if somebody wanted to have a computer actually set up in here so that you could AirPlay to the TV for display if you wanted to, you can do laptop or keyboard here or work area here. You have the ability to put a printer down below here, plus other storage, and then there's more storage over here on the side. So great utilization of storage throughout this whole cabinet. Why we do this as an option is to have the galley extended because of the bath and a half. If you were to do that, we'd have a shorter galley if you opted to have 2 chairs in the front. And what we're finding with a lot of the clients is that the secondary chair or the forward chair in the living room is really not being used too often, and they're swapping the chairs so that they look like they're, you know, evenly used. So as opposed to that, let's get a longer galley and cut it back to 1 chair with a work area.
Now on this booth, we don't see this in too many Liberty coaches. Does this adjust at all?
Yeah, so this table will go in and out. It's an electric actuator that'll bring the table in and out. The way that Kurt has the floor plan designed with this galley base, with the slide in and this table in its out position, you can still walk through here, so the whole front area of the coach is still usable.
Yes, sir.
Slide in or out.
Yeah,
and
really.
then there's storage underneath the booth here as well.
Some outlets and USB, USB-C down here. And then I always like to just point out just the craftsmanship, bringing these floors into the slide room here. Just incredible detail work. And just the texture of these floors, they're almost like a matte finish. What type of floors are these?
This is a vinyl base, wood veneer tops, very, very thin. The flooring that we do on the coach has to be done perfect below this so that it doesn't telegraph any images of screws or anything else that could have been down on the floor prior to this being laid down. So this is a sandwich floor here as well, and sandwiched in there is the heat mats. So the whole floor is 100% heated front to rear.
I don't know if this is a first, but I'm noticing the triple tone actually. So we've got the darker cabinets and then almost that two-tone green and then the lighter cabinets. Is that a first for Liberty Coach?
This is one of the first, yes, it is. We had talked about this when we were up north here the other day and showed this coach to clients as far as, you know, how this could be done in multiple textures and multiple look to it. It's turned out really cool. One thing on this Galley, on the comment part of it, people are asking about dishwashers. Dishwasher can be installed here. We do prep for it underneath the sink. The reason that we don't put a dishwasher in every coach is because, for whatever reason, most of our clients don't use it. When we were putting them in as standard equipment back in 2010 to like 2014, those coaches were coming back in on trade and we were finding that they were never used. And when we wanted to get them ready for delivery, we were having to rebuild them because they hadn't been used. And so this cycle kept going on. So it didn't really make a lot of sense to keep putting something in that people weren't using, and it would be better just to have the storage. But again, it is prepped for it. There's plumbing there for it. So if somebody does come in and say, listen, I want the dishwasher, no problem. Goes right in.
Folks, Frank reads the comments more than anybody I know. So if you've got a good comment, please drop a comment below and you'll probably hear an answer to it in a future video.
Thank you. We've got the Wolf induction cooktop. Lots of drawer storage here. Each coach comes with an owner's manual. I wrote the first one back in 1995 and we have updated every year since for all the new stuff that we do. So quite a bit of stuff that you can do as far as storage wise throughout. This one also has the cutlery drawer that was built specific for the client. And not to waste any space, we've got a little tip out there as well. Trash here and more cutlery area. All of our drawers are lined with a material to keep the rattling down as far as that goes, and it keeps the drawer cleaner. Same thing that we do in the pantry areas. Those have a special liner to them, so if anything spills, it's easy to clean up as opposed to staining the wood or the base of the drawer. And again, we talk about this often. This coach comes with a lifetime workmanship warranty of the first owner, and that covers squeaks and rattles. And that's one of the ways that we keep that down.
I still haven't heard anybody else in the industry say it. The only one that can say that, so a lot of value to that.
Back to putting the mealies in from the Wolves, because now we have the mealie back as a available product to us. So this is a microwave as well as a full convection oven also. Nice full pantry, pull out drawers as well. So you got floor to ceiling pantry.
I always like to point that out. I don't see anybody else doing that. What's the reason for that?
Well, the reasoning for this goes back years ago. This is a piece that we manufacture, we bend up in the shop, and then we paint it also to match whatever laminate or whatever material that it's going onto. What this does is it keeps the door straight. Over a period of time, it doesn't ever fail that the taller doors tend to pull in one direction or another. And when that starts to happen, you start to see delamination, you start to see issues with latches not working properly, hinges, all of that. So what this does is it keeps that door straight for its life. And you'll see that more so on doors that have mirrors on it. The glues and the mirrors tend to pull the doors, and that also stops that from happening. Here, all the corner moldings, all this is real wood, it's solid wood, and we machine that, and then it's finished in our shop to match whatever material it's going up against. You don't see this too often. It is a regular carafe coffee maker that's going to have the basket for the grounds, everything as opposed to a Keurig. So we still have the ability to do that. Storage above as well.
They like their old school Folgers.
Yep.
Or, yeah.
There you go.
The detail work around this accent wall, just incredible. Is this all machined?
This is all machined and manufactured at the shop. So yeah, this looks like a piece of artwork.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of work to go into that for sure. Bathroom door, the chevron look to it. That's pretty popular. We've been seeing quite a few people like to do that. Nice handle, nice hardware. Entering into the bathroom here. Very cool look with the tile backsplash. And again, different texturing when you look at the backside, toilet side here.
That tile backsplash is unlike anything we've seen, almost like a metallic wood grain. And then they're introducing another tone there, a four-tone, but it just blends together so well, the gray, white, and black.
In this coach, we have two air pocket doors. One in the hallway here that closes up down the hallway to the master suite. And then we also have another one that goes into the aft bath as well. So we can close that door via either iPad buttons or from the buttons on the wall. Nice quiet operation.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So a lot of times when my wife and I use the coach, when Denise and I are using it, sometimes what we'll do is we'll keep that door closed and then we'll transition back and forth through the coach through the bathroom. So that keeps this area private. Although most of the time when we're in a coach, we're having to show it. So it's show ready at 7 a.m., right?
Talking about that, you're in a lot of different RV. You were just, I believe, in Maine. How many shows a year are you out in these coaches, using them, living in them?
Close to 8 to 10 a year between the different groups that we support. With Prevost Proud does 2 a year, Bus and Biker 2 a year, Roadhogs 2 a year, Liberty Coach does 2 a year. Sometimes you can also include 3 when you look at our Sturgis event. So, and then the different RV resorts that we support as well. So we're out, everywhere, and typically wherever I'm at, then our service tractor trailer, Big Red, is with us as well. So there's quite a bit of travel involved in what I do.
You've been going to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show for how many years?
I think this will be our 28th year. So
wow.
We're actually, when we get done with this, we're transitioning down there to get set up.
Yeah,
I
don't know when you sleep, but yeah, if you want to see a Liberty coach, they're all over. Great opportunity if someone is at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. I don't know how quickly we'll have this, if they want to come touch and see one of these in person, because cameras only do so much justice when you open and close these doors compared to other motorhomes out there. Yeah. You have to touch and feel it yourself.
There's no question. We got to go clientele through that as well, because there's so much cross-pollination, if you will, between it, especially in the sport fish business. Center council people, what have you, are definite customers of Liberty coaches for sure.
Yeah, the Liberty coach is like the price of a dinghy at that show. Yeah,
to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think they go about 100x more than this there. So
right. Washer dryer, the Bosch unit, which has been a staple for our industry for a number of years. So it's been a real popular, real good unit. Big closets in the Super Slide we have here. Plus we have the mirrors on both of these closet doors, all finished. You also have the hamper down below here. Our AVR unit for the bedroom stereo system, sound processor is there as well. We've gone away from DVD players. Nobody has those any longer, so both the front and rear of the coach have the ability for Apple TV. So there's 2 Apple TV units built in each one of our coaches that we do as well. Closet on either side of the bed. These closets are deep enough that this client adds shelves into the back end of it, so you can have shoe storage, what have you there, and then you still have the ability to hang clothing in there as well. These drawers then are, super deep, which gives you the reason why you have so much depth here. And then again, that forward closet is the same.
Okay, same size closet as well?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, again, huge drawers, a lot of space here.
King size bed, and then underneath the bed we have the safe, a large safe with digital combinations. So it's a good size safe, not just something you can throw some keys in. You've got quite a bit of storage here on the passenger side slide, with storage area on either side of the TV. Nice drawers through here.
And I'm just in awe on the fit and finish. When we look at every square inch, no one's doing this level of finish just above your bed inside the slide room on the ceiling here. Lots of detail work goes into that.
There's a lot of detail work there. The framing of the slide is also complicated, as well as when you look at the other side to the passenger side slide, how the framing is done around the doors also. So there's a number of different features that you see. And in all the coaches, if you go back through all the videos that we've done, there's no 2 of these that you've ever seen the same. That goes back again to how custom oriented Liberty Coach is, with what my brother Kurt and his wife Kim put together. Nobody else in the industry has that ability.
The details, now that you pointed that out, I didn't notice it, but if you look at any other slide face in any other motorhome where you've got this groove here with indirect lighting in that groove, it just makes it feel like it's not a motorhome slide room. Where up here too, see, there's just so much going on, it's easy to miss. But yeah, a lot of intricate detail that gives it a non-motorhome feel.
Lay down charging ports on either side of the bed. You also have the outlets on either side of the bed with USB and USB-C ports on there as well. So there's a lot of outlets that we put in the coach.
I assume you can look at all of your cameras around the coach, control everything bedside.
On any of the Crestron panels, as well as the iPads. And then those are all intercom also. So we have the ability to intercom between all of those 2. A lot of flexibility throughout the coach as far as that goes. Here, this feature panel, this is done in different dimensions and different textures to give it a really cool look back here. Back here in the bathroom, lots of light. We have always been asked about lighting and how much lighting that we do in a coach, and You know, this has been, for the last 3 years, we've been doing this arrangement with the lighting, which has really enhanced the ability to use the coach, because you finally have enough light to get ready, and it's cool, there's no question.
Extremely bright.
You've got our electronic systems back here. We also have lighting inside there so the technicians can see what they're doing, which is always, you know, a challenge getting into some of the compartments that are out there. The vanity has nice drawers, storage below as well. There was a comment about the shower. You know, how big is the shower? Can you get in the shower? Yeah, you can get in the shower and you can use it. We got adjustable slide bar here for the shower head, temperature control units. This client wanted to have hooks around for different, you know, for the soap scrubbies and for the towels as opposed to bars here. We made this niche area here taller for the larger bottles of soaps and shampoo. We actually make this piece here in-house to be able to hold everything in place. As we've talked about before, people sometimes don't get it, is that the shower pan that we do here, we manufacture in-house. It is a full stainless steel pan that we weld up and put into the floor and then rock board around and tile. So there's no way water can impregnate anything outside of this area here.
As it gets colder, we're coming into the fall, winter time, and you told a story about when you were, I believe, in college, having a Liberty coach. I believe it was -20 or -40, some insane temperatures you've had a Liberty coach in. What is the heating and cooling capabilities of the Liberty coaches today?
Extreme temperatures got us to build the heating systems that we have now, going back to when our father was doing, you know, the coaches and designing a lot of the different equipment. I mean, we wanted to make sure that I was going to school out in Montana and Dad was going out there snowmobiling in West Yellowstone. You know, it gets down to 60 below zero there. It happens. And so we were able to build coaches, and still do today, that can survive those type of climates. And people will say, yeah, that's not going to happen, what have you. Well, it did happen, and it still does happen. The way that we design the hot water heating system in the coach, we use an 83,000 BTU S-bar diesel-fired furnace. It circulates antifreeze from the main engine through the entire coach. It's running down the sidewall of the coach, it's running underneath the coach. It goes to many different auto heaters, we call them, that are fan units throughout the coach, which are controlled by the thermostats here on the wall and in the back, plus down below. So we have separate units in the water bay on either side of the coach also, be able to keep that compartment completely heated. And we also do it by electric. But when you go back to the hydronic or the S-bar system, that system is circulating antifreeze from the main engine through the main engine constantly, which then also is going through your water heater. So there are 40-gallon water heater is being heated from that as well. It doesn't care what your inside temperature is. It only cares about antifreeze temperature. So it's going to maintain that antifreeze temperature between, I believe it's 152 to 168 degrees, which then means that your transmission is also at that temperature as well. So when you're at those type of extreme temperatures, you can go ahead and start the coach up. So do we have other areas that we have to think about? Sure. When we were in those type of climates like that, you used to be able to take, years ago, a tin pan and put charcoal in it and light the charcoal up and put it up underneath the drive axle so you could get that oil there. Obviously that's very thick, get it heated up because you couldn't move, you know, at that time. But you know, these are things that we did, you know, years ago and still can be done today. Air conditioning wise, what we have is the 4 15,000 BTU AC units. They're heat pumps also, and they're mounted to the roof of the coach. We have a higher interior height here because of the way that we engineer ducting system in the coach. When you go and see a shell at the factory, which we invite people to come to the factory as well, you'll see how we insulate with not only the insulation that Prevost provides, but the sound deadening material that we put in the ceiling as well, to be able to keep the vibration of the roof air units to a minimum, if not eliminate it, and also keep the noise from the compressors, which we go through each one of those units and test it on the bench prior to it going on the roof. And if we see any issues in the compressor area and the lines and the condensers and what have you and the evaporators, we'll go ahead and isolate those areas so that they don't, again, vibrate and make noise, causing it to be uncomfortable in the coach. Our ducting system that we do is all radiused. It's all machined. We just don't take the boxes and build square boxes for the air to travel through. That causes what's called turbulent flow. I'm a mechanical engineer, so this was designed this way as well with my brother, to be able to have flow through the coach that was consistent. So you don't have the air getting trapped in the corner of these boxes causing noise, and you're not getting the correct airflow, not only on the supply side, but on the return side. So our air conditioning systems are quieter and also more efficient than anything that you'll find in the industry, based upon the installation.
Yes, sir. And how many total airs? Four ACs.
Right.
Okay.
And so going down the road, that becomes a question as well. How many of these units can you run going down the road? Well, you could actually run all four. We have enough alternator on the back of the coach charging the Volta 58 volt system on board that you could run all four. We have them programmed so that you can run any of the four, but only three maximum. That's just a fail-safe for us, so that if you got into a situation where one went down, you could transition to the other one. It's very rare that you would have to run all four units. In fact, when my wife and I are going down the road, we typically just have the dash unit on with the auxiliary, the galley roof air unit, and the bedroom on. And from the bathroom, the mid-bathroom unit forward here, it's cold, okay? In the back of the coach, you've got the engine that you're fighting against as well, so you can make that area comfortable, so by the time you stop, you've overcome a lot of that heat to get that area cooled down pretty rapidly.
I believe this coach has three 5,000 watt inverters.
Right, so this coach has got three 5,000 watt inverters on it. One of those inverters, its purpose in life is just to run all the sensitive electronics. So your Crestron systems that we have on board, the audio video systems, the TVs, the refrigerator, the water pump, certain equipment like that is run on that inverter, so it never sees a transition from generator to shore power to inverter, so it stays happy being live all the time. The other two inverters are there to be able to run the air conditioning in the coach. They can be piggybacked or stacked so that you can run the 220 volt equipment, such as your cooktop, your microwave, convection oven, the washer, dryer. Those types of things could be run going down the road. Although you wouldn't really run the washing machine going down the road, because it's nice to have a water supply and the ability to dump when you're parked. Dryer, yes, you could. So
heavier duty equipment than anybody in the industry, and you've been using lithium technology now for
14 years.
14 years. And it's funny because we've been noticing the other manufacturers, I think everybody else has jumped on board to the lithium bandwagon. You kind of led the way, a lot of time in research and development.
Those guys won't have to go through the learning curves we did, probably.
Yeah, they're following your lead, so yes, sir.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been a great road, actually, and it's not something we're turning away from, so we're pretty happy with it.
I asked, how big are these inverters? No one else is doing a lithium system to this level. Is there a reason that you're using so much more equipment and heavier duty systems than everyone else?
We have the power to be able to do it, and I like to have too much power when you get down to it, so we're not having to look at, okay, we tripped it because we were putting too much stuff on. That's why we have two 10,000 kW alternators on the back. So you got 20,000 kW alternator from the main engine running down the road. We like to have enough power because we have the capability to do it, and don't want to get in a situation where, we could have run this if we would have had more power. And that's why on the alternator system, we've got so much alternator back there too, to the point that we can charge the battery packs back from 20% of charge to 100% of charge in an hour and a half to 2 hours of driving down the road, which is really unheard of. It's very expensive, there's no question about it, but at this level, it deserves it.
You're striving to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed with this interior, but this is a hot exterior. You think you could show us around the exterior?
Absolutely. Let's go.
So when we saw this coach coming around the corner out there, I mean, it just really just draws you in with the new 9660 body style, but then the Artist series as well. What is Dean Laux doing with the new Artist series that just give him such a different look?
Well, I think with the change in the profile of the roof, the caps front and rear that Kurt spent so much time on, also the dash, that was 2 years coming together, and then Dean never even saw or knew anything about this until we could announce it as a group. So he didn't really have the opportunity to get his feet wet into it until he really got one. And so there's some changes that were done to the shell other than just what you see. The panels have changed so that they are a straighter, stronger profile of a panel. So when you look at them down below the slide rooms, you're going to see a piece in there because that's now a separate piece. So the profile of the coach and how it finishes off over time, you'll be able to see that this is more withstanding to what the coach should look like. Of course, the whole front end, the way that was done, the way Dean has taken off on that profile of what Kurt did on that front grill unit, if you want to call it that. And so then Dean would take off on that with the paint scheme and the design to accentuate that Kurt had put together. It's come off really well.
When you're standing at this angle, because of the curve here and the way the paint job flows, it doesn't start and stop like the older ones did. It just really flows into the side of the coach.
Wraps around it. On the bumper has changed on the front now to be a 3-piece unit, although the whole unit does drop as one piece, but they're individual pieces, so if you do happen to damage a section of it, you're not having to replace the whole cover. So that was a nice bonus to it. We have the front end here that folds down.
While he's opening that up, the intricate detail just in this stripe, this is the Artist series where you've got the art of removal and a slow fade with the design, just the amount of detail work that goes into just this one little stripe here, just incredible.
So this is what Prevost calls the frunk. So this is the front trunk, if you will. So we have the dash filters here. We used to have to worry about how to design the staircases so that you had the accessibility to that filter. Now it's easy to do here. We talked about the synchronous motors for the windshield wipers. So they're each independent and they run synchronous. So we don't have the arm in between here. They're also a lot quieter in their operation. And some of the electronics for the dash blowers, for the control for your keyless entry, for the door locks, different things like that are all accessible through here. So it makes life a lot easier when you're trying to work on it. When we talked about this as we were coming up to the release of the 9660, a lot of this was done to aid the serviceability of the tour operators. This then became a bonus to us for Kurt when he was doing the different design work for the dash and the stairwells and what have you, that this now made life a lot easier to be able to do a lot more in your design options. This now being a backlit panel as opposed to the casting that we used to do, the aluminum casting. The LED headlights, these are all LEDs now, full LEDs. They do have a daylight running section here and the cornering light that comes off here as well.
Now the wheels on these Artist series, we've been seeing a lot of Liberty Coach opt for the special wheel package.
Right, that's an option. It's not part of the Artist series. That is an entirely different option that you can do, and they can do some painting on there as well, so it's a different whole option from American Racing Wheel Pro units. They're out there. You can get them in the black, you can get them in the polished as well. And they've got a couple of variations of the vent hole design also. The underside of this coach is done in red, but this particular coach has the multicolor undercoach LEDs, which is a significant cost option on the coach as well. So this coach has that also. The door handles on the coach are totally painted through. You know, you think that that might just be something that's not that difficult to do. There's a pretty hefty price for this, and it's deserved. But when you look at how they have to go through these handles and make sure that they're perfect. I mean, they have to be. Art of removal on them as well, on this Artist series, for sure.
This door handle right here, this stripe has the art of removal, which is an extremely intense and expensive process, but that even goes through the door handle, just incredible.
First bay has the storage drawers here. These pull out. We also have the tool drawer below. The Liberty Coach manufactured slide-out trays. These are the lowest profile in the industry, so you have more height here for storage. Those are on both sides of the coach. Second bay here, we also have the pull-out slide tray here. You also have storage drawers above. And then we have the 65-inch pull-out TV unit, which the entire mechanism here is designed and built by Liberty Coach. Handles that are done here, we manufacture those. The slide-out mechanism, the bracketing for it, we manufacture all that in-house. We try and build as much in-house as we can to be able to control the quality and also somewhat control our own supply chain situation.
When you folks come and touch and feel these TV trays, it's the Rolls Royce of the motor coach industry. When you start pulling out TV poles in other motorhomes versus the Liberty, definitely a difference.
Changed it up a little bit here. We've got a slide out refrigerator unit here. This can also be a freezer depending on how cold you make it. So it's either a refrigerator or a freezer unit. Again, great for tailgating.
Yes, sir.
Grill unit here, built in right here. And then we have a Crestron panel here that can operate the entire coach. Some people do a iPad mini down here. It just depends on what the client wants. Outlets, we do a lot of outlets throughout the coach as well. This bay here then is storage. So we have storage drawers and storage on top. Finished wise, everything that you see here around, feel, backsides, everything is finished. 20 years from now, it's going to look just like it.
Yes, sir.
I've seen plenty of coaches that are that old or older,
Well,
they're just that way.
Talking about 20-year-old coaches, I know a guy that just took a 20-year-old Liberty coach, put about a $350,000 paint job on a 20-year-old Liberty coach. So it says a lot about the build quality when someone will invest like that. So we'll have you seen the, has Dean sent you any of the?
Oh, I've seen some pictures.
You see, yeah, so. Yeah,
He's giving me some pretty well weekly updates.
Pretty exciting to see what Dean's doing. That'll be coming out in the future, but just shows, you know, the build quality. When you look at these when they're 20 years old, just still that Rolls-Royce quality.
On the Prevost chassis, the fuel fill is a very comfortable level to be able to fuel. You're not down underneath the slide. The other side of the coach, we have fuel and def, so that's together, as opposed to having def somewhere else located on the coach where you'd have to move the coach on the fuel island, or you won't be able to get to it and you'd have to fill def with a 2.5 gallon container, which is kind of a pain. The other thing that's nice about the way that the Prevost fuels is you can run pretty much that nozzle wide open because of the fuel fill being higher. You don't have to worry about, you know, the fuel fill here trying to get up, causing air blockage and not enough venting on the tank, so you can run this baby almost wide open. This is the 5th bay passenger side. This is our, if you will, wet bay. So we've got the stainless steel fresh water tank, the aluminum holding tank, the Culligan reverse osmosis water filtration system. We also have water filters that are in the system right after the tank before it goes into the rest of the coach. You've got the water pump, and then you have a 40-gallon electric water heater. That's come up in comments as well. Why do you do that? The main reason that we do that is you have the additional capacity. So you've got essentially 160 some odd gallons of water in the fresh water tank, plus then you have 40 gallons of hot water. You got over 200 gallons sitting here of fresh water. So the other reason for that is that when you look at trying to do these instant water heater units, or the ones that are done hydronically on some of the coaches that are out there, they have to slow the water down going through them so that they get hot. So when it's coming out the other end, it's hot to be able to get to whatever faucet that's in the coach. This way, we can run the water full pressure, full volume, so it's going to be like or better than what you have in your home. And then again, you've got 40 gallons here that you can run with. Now, we do have a tankless water heater on every coach that we build, which is plumbed specifically to the shower valve. So if something happens with the water heater itself, then you at least have the ability to have hot water to the shower valve. When you use that, it's going to be a little slower coming out of the shower, because again, it's got to be able to go slow enough through there to be able to heat the water. You have the ability to dump the holding tank from the driver and passenger side. You can fill fresh water from the driver and passenger side. These have been things that you can do on a Liberty coach forever and ever. It just makes things a lot more convenient, a lot easier. You have a dump valve for the fresh water tank as well that's air operated, so you can dump the coach sitting here from inside the coach, outside the coach, wherever you need to. You have tank monitoring for all tanks on both sides of the coach, as well as on all Crestron and iPad panels, so you can see what's happening on your freshwater system.
With the new rear cap here, what's all going on in the back of the coach?
So when Kurt designed this rear cap, which is actually the awning interface, so that the awnings interface properly to the caps, when he did this, he had to also take into consideration what Prevost had done on the back of the coach to reduce drag. It's hard to kind of see with this paint scheme, but there's a bit of a fairing, if I guess you could call it that comes off from the back of the coach on the sides, and it also does at the top. So when he built this and designed it to go on top, that had to play into the whole engineering concept so that it actually improved or would improve what Prevost already had done. Now, I know in a past video you guys were up on the roof and you could see how the exhaust system is done, because a lot of these other companies, when they do this type of work, they just set something back there and put it around what Prevost has for an exhaust stack. We actually make a chimney inside of that cap that then is finished on the top with a polished stainless steel section, so you don't ever really see what's going on back there. The forward leading edge of this cap had to be run in a taper so that you didn't, get wind, busting up against it and water, what have you, so it would be a smooth
A
transition.
little more aerodynamic, yeah.
This then has Dean's option with blacking out the tail lights and the marker lights. So with this color back here, you almost don't even see the tail lights.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing.
And I think the blacked out tail lights are a must just to really set it off. When this came around the corner, it does not look, it looks like a spaceship. No motorhome has ever looked like this.
Coming over here, driver's side, fifth bay, we've got the freshwater tank, stainless steel, polished on this side. We have an aluminum holding tank with a stainless steel cover on the face of it. Our polished copper plumbing that's been trademarked of Liberty coaches that we've done for probably almost 30 years now. This will look this way, taken care of for many, many years.
Yes, sir.
And you know that.
Timeless.
We've got dumped tubes up in here storage. We've got the freshwater hose reel, which is 100 foot of hose on an electric reel. Retracts electrically, you pull it out manually. We also have a spray head here that's retractable for cleaning out the sewer hoses or just being able to have something to use water out back here. You also have the shore power cord reel. There's 75 foot of cord on that reel. Comes out with a switch or with the remote control. So you have that. You can also see the heater that we do here as well. We talked about that earlier on. So we have heat, both the electric and hot water heat on both sides of the coach here. Fuel fill, there are locking doors. The other side was a locking door as well, and then your DEF is located here. This is one option as far as how the fourth bay driver's side is done with the storage bins here. We also do this as a closet as well, which is enclosed. So there's different options that we've done in this area also. Third bay is going to be our generator. We do a 12.5 kW Onan unit. The Onan unit's in its own hush box, and then we build a complete hush box around it as well. So it is extremely quiet and vibration free.
Those don't get too much use though with the new lithium system.
Nope, we have quite a few customers, and you've met them, that have said we never use our generator.
Yes, sir.
Or very few times do they use it. In the lithium-ion packs, you can run one air conditioner, like sometimes we do when we're traveling. We may stop overnight, we'll cook, and then we're sitting, and depending on the temperature outside, we could run 15, 16 hours with a single air conditioner on, about half that amount of time with two ACs on. We get a lot of longer lasting capacity with it, and the beauty of it is, even when you look at the coaches that are getting out to 2016 was the first ones that we did with that, so now we're looking at getting on 7 years, maybe a little bit more than that since we first started using them and testing them. Those batteries are still performing just like they were new, so that's very impressive as well.
You know, one of the big advantages of the lithium system is no generator exhaust, and I haven't seen a Liberty coach with the generator turned on in like 10 years, so I'm wondering, where does the generator exhaust go? It is down here,
yeah.
So there is a lot of value just if you're in a campground or at a racetrack, not having to run that generator exhaust just makes a nicer, quieter environment for everyone.
And with this is tier 4, so we don't have the particulate like you have on the larger generators out there. So, and in fact, that's why a lot of them got out of the larger generator mobile business like Kohler, because of the fact they weren't going to deal with the larger generators having to deal with DEF, which you do have to do when you get into the 20s and plus units, which makes those packages enormous to be able to have the DEF with it, because you can't pull it from the other DEF tank that's in the coach.
I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Yes,
so
sir.
That's why a lot of this stuff transitioned. Second bay on the driver's side, this is basically our electrical architecture that we have on the ceiling. This is the battery management system for the Volta system. So it shows you this coach currently is at 80% of charge because it was sitting outside for a while, not plugged in. So at this point, the system is rebuilding charge right now. Distribution panel for the DC system, that's all done in one location. So this also goes and leads into how our electrical system is done with the Maritz Octoplex as being the electrical architecture there. You have one flat panel that tells you how the breaker systems are monitored in the coach. So if you have a breaker that's tripped, it's going to come up on that flat panel and tell you. So if you have an issue that's deeper, you can come down here, and this is the distribution to each one of those individual DC boxes for the Maritz system. So the beauty of this is you're not having to pull electrical sheets and circuit sheets to find out where the fuse in the coach is located, and then have to start pulling closets apart or pulling drawers out to get to the bases of cabinets. And we all know the history of where, you know, you're hunting forever to find a fuse. That is not part of our coach and has not been part of our coach since 2007. Okay, so 2008 model year, this is what we've been using, and it's proven to be very, very amazing. to say the least.
And just another way Liberty has led the industry.
We also have the buddy plug here, so that you can plug somebody into the generator if you needed to. We build our own transfer box. This is where the brains of transitioning from generator power, shore power, inverter power is done here, and then the generator battery is located here as well. There's the nuts and bolts of pretty much everything that we do is right here, plus there's battery backups that are in here as well. So if you do have a situation where you come to the coach and the coach is off, the coach is not dead, it's just off. So if you coach is off, we have small battery backups that you can turn on to get the critical systems back up, so that the transfer switch will transfer power from either generator or shore power, or when you start the main engine to be able to get the battery's state of charge back up again. So there's something that we've talked about before. If you needed to put the coach into storage, what the beauty of this system is, on that box there's that silver button there that has the green ring around it. If you're at 100% of charge, you can go ahead and turn that off. That shuts the coach totally off as far as the Liberty Coach house systems, and you can leave it in that condition for months. They say a certain amount of months. I think, probably 2-3 months. That's my comfort level. We had a situation this past summer where we had to have a coach towed because we had an injector that cracked the tip, so we had to have it towed almost 150 miles when it got to where it needed to go. We were fortunate enough that they had the parts, new injectors to put in it, but we turned the coach off, and we left it off for almost a week. Emptied the refrigerator, of course, you would need to do that. We came back over when they were done, hit the button, everything was a clean reboot across the board, and off we went.
Any other coach at this level, you've got to have plugged into 50 amp, whether you're storing it or they just kind of always have to be plugged in. So
first bay driver side, again, we've got the slide out tray, the traditional Zipty awning chairs there on each of the 2 doors on the driver and passenger side, first and second bay. Your controllers for your slide rooms are located on top of the bay here, so you can release pressure from the slide room gaskets from their seals. If you needed to move a slide room in manually, you could release pressure here. Or if you have a slide gasket that goes down, you can come into this as well and bypass so that you can at least have pressure on the other slide rooms if necessary till you can get the other slide seal repaired. Amplifier for the dash radio, controls for other equipment in the coach here as well. And then we come around to the new Prevost service door. So in the past coaches, the door was only this high. So now what they've done is they've made a larger door here for serviceability that has the toll window built in, which if anybody's had to replace the motor for this window on the past classics, you can appreciate that this is super nice, because that was a 2-day job minimum to be able to do that. We have a real nice area here for getting into the control circuits for the Prevost systems, which we do a little bit of work in here, but this is the brains of pretty much most of what's going on in the Prevost dash and their control circuitry. You've got a way large washer tank here. We do not any longer have the headlight washing system that was on the Classic for many years. Because of the design of the front of the coach now, it keeps the headlights cleaner just driving down the road. So now we've got this large washer fluid tank for the windshields. And I always joke that we don't need anything that large, because every time we take a coach in on trade after a couple of years, it's still almost that full.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not used that often. We also have air ability here for having an air outlet. Auxiliary air compressors mounted behind the front bumper. There's storage that's sealed for weather there as well, and that's lighted, but that's where our onboard auxiliary air compressor is located.
Sir, and I've just got to point out how well everything's labeled as well. Even the Prevost labeling in there. Very user friendly if you need to work on something in here.
Yeah, we do. As you probably can look through the different areas that we've touched on, you can see labels or engraved tags on valves. We have a huge amount of labeling and tags that we put on everything throughout the coach, because obviously you don't know what everything's for. Most people don't work on their own coaches, and somebody else is coming in there working on it. They know what they can turn off, what they can't turn off. Plus the other placards that are in there to show you or remind you how to use certain things in the coach that we do, because not everybody uses the coach every day. They may be away from it for 3+ months or 6 months at a time, and you don't always remember how systems work unless you're using them all the time.
A lot of value in having those instructions there, and I just noticed this too. All of the paint codes here that Dean Laux and his team at the Art of Design use, a lot of different paint colors, and then all the fades and blends. I think Dean said sometimes there's probably like 100 different colors when you look at, you know, how many different shades there are. When we look closely, I mean, even in the slide room here, just, I got to tip my hat to the team at the Art of Design and Dean Laux, just incredible. Yes, sir.
They do. They do a great job.
Well, Frank, congratulations to the new owners of this coach and the team at Liberty Coach for another masterpiece. Now, if someone is a serious and qualified buyer and want to order a new Liberty Coach or purchase one of the pre-owned inventory here, what's the best way to do that?
Well, the best way is to go on either the Liberty Coach website for product that's brand new or within 10 years of production. And if you want to look at stuff that's older than that, then you'd look at the Motorhome Exchange website. But then from there you would email in, and that reaches myself or Dave Wall on Motorhome Exchange, and then we'll slide those over to the different salespeople. You can also call in 800-554-9877, or you can email coachsales@libertycoach.com, and then we'll get right back to you. I mean, I see that on different social media posts and what have you as well. People will ask, and that's the best way to get to us, because you'd have to have a whole team of people watching everything that goes on to be able to catch it. We're looking at late 2024 into 2025 for deliveries on new product. We've just been ordering shells now that are taking us, you know, into that 2025 year. So those would be 26 model coaches. So we're getting into that transition as well. Different used pieces that we have, we're seeing more inventory come available. So we've been buying and also consigning equipment. Plus we have coaches that are coming in on trade now that these new 9660s are finishing up as well. Now, there's always activity going on the website for sure.
And what's some of the reasons that someone would choose a pre-owned Liberty Coach over other RVs out there?
Pre-owned Prevost, and then when you go into a pre-owned Liberty Coach, is going to be far more user-friendly, far more serviceable, far more reliable over the long run than any of the pre-owned Class A motorhomes that are out there. There's just the chassis alone. I mean, you're looking at a chassis here that is built to go 2.5 to 3 million miles. Liberty coaches out there, I know that you know of the Charlie Daniels, the past Charlie Daniels coach. That coach had 2.5 million miles on it, or just pushing that when Charlie passed. So, and that had the same interior in it that we had built. We had done some modifications, but you know, that says a lot for what our team does and our family has done through all those years. The coach is going to be far more valuable as well when you look at a pre-owned coach that's 10 years old compared to anything else that's out there. Plus what we do in our service. You know, we have 275 some odd points, if not more than that, that we go through on every coach, be it brand new or that's used, just to go through everything to make sure the coach is working as it's supposed to.
And then we briefly discussed the lifetime workmanship warranty on the brand new units, but what type of warranties are available on some of the pre-owned units?
Well, some of the pre-owned units we can do 6 months, some of them we can do 1 year. Some of the units that are relatively new, I mean, we had Coach 899 come in here that we had delivered back in March of this year, 2023, and the people were just like, you know what, this really isn't for us, and let's go ahead and get out. And they did, and the coach essentially had like 2,000 or 3,000 miles on it, more than what they had taken delivery on. We got them out at a really great price, and the customer that ended up purchasing it, that lifetime workmanship warranty then was transitioned to them. It just makes sense. So on the Prevost side, there's 2-year unlimited as far as mileage goes, plus Prevost has a significant amount of goodwill that they do. Transmission and engine are 5-year, and those warranties follow the coach, they don't follow the owner. So the coach could have 3 or 4 owners to it and still have warranty.
Yes, sir. Well, a lot of value. I know you've got to get to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show here, so greatly appreciate you taking the time to show us this coach. Also greatly appreciate all of you out there subscribing. We hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.
Thank you. Keep watching and keep doing the comments. I love reading through them.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yep.